The old way of running ads is officially dead. Right now, there are two types of advertisers on Facebook. The ones who adapted to what's changed and are thriving, and the ones who have no idea what is happening and are getting absolutely destroyed. If you're still running ads the same way that you did 6 months ago, you're already behind. Because Facebook didn't just tweak the system, they rebuilt the entire ad ecosystem. And if you don't adapt fast, your results will keep crashing while everyone else scales. That's why in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly what's changed, how it's sabotaging your results, and how to rebuild a strategy that actually works today. The same one that I used to take a brand new dropshipping store from zero to over $100,000 in under 30 days. And here's the thing, if you wanna have any success running ads from this point forward, you need to understand what just happened. Because Facebook didn't just push an update, they rebuilt the entire engine that runs your ads. It's called Andromeda, and it's the biggest shift that we've seen since iOS 14.5. Now, for those of you who were not running ads back then, that update from Apple basically cut off Facebook's visibility into user behavior, where overnight, tracking broke, targeting collapsed, and ad costs skyrocketed. Marketers around the world panicked because they lost the very data they made every profitable decision from. But this time, it's different. Andromeda isn't about taking data away. It's about rebuilding how the data is understood. It's Meta's attempt to fix what iOS 14.5 broke, but smarter. This isn't just another small tweak to the algorithm. It's a full rewrite of how Facebook decides what gets seen, what gets skipped, and what gets scaled. Every time an ad goes live now, it's thrown into a massive arena with millions of others all fighting for that same attention. And before it can even reach a customer, Andromeda already scanned it, compared it to everything else, and decided if it's even worth showing. And when you've got that many ads fighting for space, using the same old strategy everyone else is using isn't safe, it's invisible. That's why most ads never make it out of the gate. Not because their ads or the products are bad, they just don't stand out in the new system. Because now, Facebook doesn't care about how clever your targeting is or how good your copy is. It only cares about how much you can learn from the ads that you're pumping out, where every day is studying what actually moves people, what they click, what they skip, how long they hover, and it builds a picture of who's most likely to buy next. And I'm trying to tell you guys, the brands that are winning are the ones that are giving the system more to work with. New angles, new formats, new ideas, all helping it learn faster than everyone else. That's how they scale, and that's how they keep costs down. The crazy part is though, it was really never your fault. Andromeda's been rolling out behind the scenes while we were all still using the old system. Facebook just never came right out and said it. It's because they needed time to train it, collect data, and to make sure that it could outperform the old one. So listen, if your ads have been tanking lately, now you know why. It wasn't because your strategy stopped working, it's because the system changed underneath you. And the people who catch on first are the ones who will scale fast, while everyone else keeps optimizing for a version of Facebook that just simply doesn't exist anymore. So now, if the rules change, what does that actually mean for how we set up our ads today? The answer is actually a lot simpler than you think. Look, just because the system changed, it doesn't mean that the strategy's gotten harder or it's more complex now. If anything, it's actually easier than ever. You see, back in the day, we used to spend hours stacking interests, researching the best targeted audiences, and testing tiny variables like age, gender, or location, just to squeeze out a few extra clicks. And then once we finally found that one audience that converted, we then duplicated the ad, wrote it out till it died, and called it strategy. But that entire playbook, the ones every course and expert swore by, it just doesn't work anymore. Years ago, back when Facebook first launched Ads Manager, interest targeting was the cheat code. I mean, you could stack hobbies, artists, brands, anything, and instantly zero in on your perfect buyer. It worked perfect because the algorithm still needed guidance, and those interests were our way of helping it find the right people faster. But now, the machine doesn't need shortcuts, where every click, comment, and scroll is already a data point, and you've seen it in real life. Think about it. I mean, you like one video about home workouts, and then suddenly your feed is packed with gym gear, meal prep, and supplements. That's Andromeda in action, because it already knows who's window shopping, who's researching, and who's actually ready to buy. So while you might be over here targeting 23-year-old sneakerheads who just love Travis Scott, well, Facebook's already targeting the people who just searched for new Jordans, who watched 2 unboxing videos last night, and who opened StockX this morning but just didn't buy. That's why today, no interest campaigns outperform every other type of campaign, because you're not telling the system who to go after anymore. You're giving it the space to find the people who already show intent. The shift is simple. Before, targeting was about guessing who might care. Now, It's about letting the algorithm prove who actually does. So if you have not heard it from anybody else up to this point, let me be the first one to tell you, interest targeting is officially dead. The machine now decides who to show your ads to. And honestly, it's better at it than we ever were. Our job isn't to restrict the algorithm anymore. It's to feed it. That's why broad targeting wins in this new era. The more freedom that you give Andromeda, the faster that it learns and the cheaper that it gets. So the shift is simple. Stop guessing who and focus on what. And that what is your creative. Because in this new system, your creative is the targeting. Every second of your video, the hook, the pacing, the captions, the way it's shot, sends Facebook signals about who should see it. The only way to find what actually works is by testing. But here's where most advertisers get it wrong. They confuse recycling the same type of creatives with testing. They duplicate the same setup, make one small change, and call it a brand new ad. But to Andromeda, that's the same data wearing a different shirt. It doesn't learn anything new from that. And in this type of system, testing is not about volume. It's about variety. Every creative that you launch, it has to teach the algorithm something that it just hasn't seen before. Because when everything looks and feels the same, the system has nowhere new to go. And that's exactly why your performance flatlines. What the winners are doing instead to combat this is building a creative testing loop. That's 5 to 7 completely different creatives for every single product. Each one built around a new angle that gives the system something fresh to learn from. So you might have one ad that might focus on a story, another on humor, another on a pain point. Each one gives the algorithm a new audience to explore. That's how you start building data that actually gets smarter over time. Because when Andromeda sees all this diversity in your creatives, it's going to be learning faster, spending smarter, and finding new buyers who you would have never been able to target manually. Then, once you do start spotting your best performing concepts and angles, you then take those winners and build a brand new campaign around them. Fresh budget, fresh data, optimized from day one. That's how testing becomes scaling with this new update, and you never find yourself falling behind. The truth is, the new system doesn't reward complexity. It punishes it. The more layers that you add, the more that you confuse the learning phase, and the harder it becomes for the algorithm to know what's working. That's why right now, the simplest setups are the ones that are scaling the fastest. And to show you what I mean, let's break down the exact structure that I used on the store that hit that $100,000. Because honestly, none of it would have been possible if it wasn't for the foundation I set up for myself from the start. So let's go ahead and show you how I got this thing set up. So all I did was come over here to the ads manager, click create, and then select sales. Because from this very first campaign, my goal was simple. I'm just trying to train the algorithm to find buyers. So what I did was I just set up a CBO campaign with a budget of just $10. So you're probably like, $10, that's a low budget. What is that even gonna do? Well, this wasn't about making money on day one. This was purely to warm up the account and start giving Facebook clean data that it could learn from. And then on the ad set level, I just chose website and maximize number of conversions. Then for the data set, I connected the pixel link to my Shopify store. And then for the conversion event, I always choose purchase, because even if I'm just testing, I never want to block the system from optimizing towards a real sale. Then right here under audience, you're going to notice that I didn't stack any interest at all. I mean, there's no age filters, no detailed targeting, just United States to keep it simple, and that was it. Because again, we want the freedom for Facebook to do its thing and do all of the learning for us. Then for the start time, I always scheduled to go live the following night at midnight. That gives the system a clean 24-hour cycle to enter the learning phase properly. Now heading over here to the ad level, this is where I loaded up 6 completely different creatives under that same $10 budget, where you can see I had different angles, different hooks, different visuals, and different openings, all testing unique concepts instead of tiny tweaks. Like I said, the goal wasn't to find one winner yet. It was to let Facebook start learning which direction to scale in. So from there, I just waited until midnight for the ads to start spinning. And even though I wasn't expecting a purchase yet, this is why I still always set the goal to purchase. If someone is ready to buy, you want the algorithm to reward that signal, not ignore it. And sure enough, by the next morning around 9 a.m., I had my first sale. And when I checked the ads manager, the data was already looking very solid. I mean, you can see right here, I only spent $8 to make that first sale. And because this was a brand new ad account and brand new pixel, the dashboard hadn't updated yet, but the backend confirmed it. And listen, what stood out most was this right here. You can see I had 2 link clicks and 1 purchase. That is a 50% conversion rate straight out the gate. From a no interest, Broad targeting campaign. That one purchase gives Facebook the data that it needs to start replicating the pattern and finding more people who behave just like that buyer. And when you run this exact same process across multiple different angles towards that product, you're not just testing ads, you're testing opportunities, where every angle becomes another signal, another data point, and another shot at finding momentum. So instead of guessing which one is going to work, you let the data show you which type of avatar, which type of angle, and which type of person would want to buy this product so the system can actually scale. That's how real testing works now. You're not just chasing winners, you're building them. Scaling doesn't happen overnight. It happens one reinvestment at a time. Every night we check our profit on True Profit. And if we made $100, I would then take 60% of that profit and then break it down two ways, where a majority of the reinvestment, 80% of it, went to doubling down on what was already working and 20% into testing new angles. And that loop was exactly what scaled the store to 6 figures in record time, from 5 ads running on day 1 to over 70 by the end of the month, all for one single product, which was the daily Bible journal. One ad spoke to feeling distant from God, and then I would have another ad to a mother wanting to reconnect her faith, and then another to the regret of not following your purpose, where you see every creative carried a different truth. And that's what kept the algorithm learning, because when your messaging grows, your audience does too. Now let me go ahead and show y'all what that looked like inside of True Profit. Here's where it all started. Now on July 3rd, that's when the first sale hit. Again, all thanks to the spin test that we set from the start. Then by July 5th, 20 more orders started rolling in and total revenue hit right around $780. That's when the gears really started turning. Then 2 weeks in, July 12th, total revenue jumped over $16,000, where every night I was checking True Profit, taking what percent I wanted from the profit and then flipping it right back into my ads. More creatives, more data, more spin, which just means more money back in my pocket. And then on July 19th, just 16 days of running this product, I hit over $50,000 in sales. And I realized that by now the algorithm is fully warmed up and campaigns are pretty much just scaling on autopilot. And then 5 days later, July 24th, we ended up crossing the 6-figure line, where this store officially broke over $100,000. To be specific, $102,922 in total revenue. But look, it didn't stop there, because by the end of July, we ended up finishing at $130,000 with over $48,000 in net profit. That's the full cycle. Profit comes in, we reinvest it into ads, and then those ads bring back data that makes the next sale easier. And the reason that process works so cleanly is because I already knew exactly where my money was going. Inside True Profit, I could see everything that actually mattered. Real profit after ad spend, cost of goods, and fees. Not just sales on a dashboard, but the actual truth behind them, where it broke every number down in one place, showing me which campaigns were driving the most profit, how my ROAS was trending day to day, and even how each order stacked up against ad spend. That type of visibility is what made it possible to move fast without losing control. Because when you can literally see every dollar coming in and every dollar going out, scaling stops feeling like gambling and it actually starts feeling like a formula. That's why this part of the process matters just as much as the ads themselves. Knowing your numbers is not optional anymore. It's the only way to grow sustainably. So if you're serious about knowing exactly how much profit you're making after all your costs and ad spend, True Profit is a tool that I recommend, as it's simple, it's accurate, and it just saves you a ton of time. And I'll go ahead and drop a link in the description so you can check it out. By this point, your systems are running clean. Your ads are dialed in, your data is optimized, and the algorithm is finally working for you. But here's the part that most people overlook. The automation doesn't stop at ads, because what's the point of scaling if your supplier can't keep up? You can have the perfect creative, the perfect product, and traffic pouring in. But if orders ship late, get canceled, or arrive damaged, that momentum disappears overnight. AI can drive the sales, but your fulfillment determines whether those sales stick. That's why I always say you have to trust AI to bring customers in. You see, most beginners learn this the hard way. They find a great winning product and they actually start scaling, but then suddenly the supplier runs out of stock or it takes 3 weeks to deliver the product. And just like that, the chargebacks start rolling in. PayPal freezes your funds and your profits vanish before they even hit your account. That's the hidden side of e-commerce that nobody loves to talk about. But fulfillment is the quiet killer, because even if your ads are automated, your suppliers usually are not. You're still guessing who to trust, messaging random factories overseas, and hoping that somebody ships on time. And whenever you're scaling fast, hoping and praying is not a plan. And real talk, before everything finally clicked, I was stuck in the same spot, hoping that my supplier would actually ship on time. Praying, like literally praying that the tracking numbers would finally update so that customers wouldn't start charging back. Every night I was sitting there just glued to my phone, refreshing messages and just trying to get an answer. Literally just looking for anything. Just having constant back and forth with my old supplier. And every reply felt like waiting hours for nothing. That's when I realized I was basically running a store built on the waiting game. And when you're scaling fast, that kind of waiting kills you. And you want to know what happened? Well, payments froze, inventory stalled, and then I was stuck watching everything crash while chasing suppliers overseas just to keep things moving. So after days of stressing and trying to find a supplier, I finally came across TeamDrop and I decided to give it a shot. And man, let me tell y'all, it was a night and day difference from the person I was using before. Because at that point now, they were the ones blowing my phone up. I mean, they were sending updates every day, tracking links, checking in before I even asked anything out of them. They even helped me fix all my old chargebacks by sending gifts to customers who never got their orders and then expedited replacements without me ever having to say a word. And then when my Shopify payments finally unlocked, it felt like I could actually breathe again. It's the only fulfillment tool that I found that gives you a dedicated private agent, a real person that you can message directly for sourcing help, order updates, even verification photos before a package ever goes out. And honestly, that one-on-one transparency is what kept my store alive when volume began to spike. No more wondering if an order shipped or hoping that my supplier doesn't disappear overnight. So when I say trust AI, but verify, this is what I mean. Let Facebook's automation handle your front end, all the targeting, optimization, scaling, and let TeamDrop automation protect the back end, fulfillment, delivery, and confidence to keep going. That's how you scale sustainably, with both sides of the system working together and nothing left to chance. Before we wrap it up, I put together a free cheat sheet that maps out this entire process step by step. So you don't just understand the strategy, but you can actually follow it. Where inside this cheat sheet, it breaks down everything that we talked about. Campaign setup, reinvestment logic, creative testing, all of it. Laid out visually, so you can reference it as you start building. And you're gonna find it right below this video where you can go ahead and download it, keep it open, and use it while you watch my next video, where I show you how I created a dropshipping store in 1 hour and made over $107,000 in 24 days. So you can take this cheat sheet, pair it with the video, and you'll see this full process play out live, from setup to scale, so you can follow along and do the same yourself. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching. You know I appreciate you guys more than you can ever imagine. Thank you so much for rocking with me, and I'll see you at that next video. This is AC with Supreme Ecom, and I'm out.